Donald Trump is taking aim at a new opponent today, conservative radio talk host Hugh Hewitt.
Yeah, Trump is calling him a, quote, third-rate announcer this morning and accusing him of asking gotcha questions about foreign policy and Middle East terrorism. Let's take a listen to some of that interview from Thursday.
I may bring up Nasrallah being with Hezbollah and al-Julani being with al-Nusra and al-Masri being with Hamas. Do you think if I ask people to talk about those three things and the differeces that that's a gotcha question?
Yes, I do. I totally do. I think
that's interesting. I just disagree with it. I kind of figured that.
I think it's ridiculous. I'm a delegator. I find great people. I find absolutely great people, and I'll find them in our armed services, and I find absolutely great people. And
difference between Hezbollah and Hamas does not matter to you yet, but it will.
It will when it's appropriate. I will know more about it than you know, and believe me, it won't take me long.
But
believe. Right now, I think it's just something that. And you know what? If you ask these candidates, nobody's going to be able to give you an answer. I mean, there may be one that studied it because they're expecting a fresh question from you. But believe me, it won't matter. I will know far more than you know within 24 hours after I get the job.
Jeb Bush quickly responded to Trump's interview, arguing that it's not enough for a president to just hire people to handle international affairs.
This is not a flippant thing. This is a serious deal. The Iranian deal combined with this new existential threat to Israel and to the United States, the creation of a caliphate. You got to know who the players are. You need to know what the capabilities of the United States are. You need a strategy. All this stuff, you just can't flippantly say, well, I'll hire the best people and it'll be done. You got to have some sense of what's at risk here.
Let's talk about this now with USA Today senior political editor Heidi Przybyla. Thanks for joining us, Heidi.
Thank you.
So is this remarkable to you, Donald Trump's admissions in that interview for him, not knowing these very important details, and to also say that, he's going to delegate to people that will make these decisions? Is that something that voters will buy? I mean, we all remember, this is still early in the race, but Sarah Palin got asked questions like these, and that really did not look good on her.
It is somewhat reminiscent, isn't it? It goes to show managing Manhattan real estate is very different than being on the world stage. So, yes, I think it is remarkable. However, Donald Trump has weathered so much over these past several weeks in terms of just comments that he's made. But what is different about this is that it is kind of exposing the underbelly of what his knowledge actually is on the issues, because he's been running a campaign that really isn't about the issues. It's about one issue on immigration. But other than that, up until now, he's really kind of managed to skate past getting into the weeds on issues. And so this is, I think, a problem. Maybe not this one particular incident, but if this starts to become a pattern, yeah, I think it'll be a problem for him.
But do you think, though, that he faces different standards compared to other candidates, other contenders?
I don't think he faces different standards.
In the voters' mind.
Well, in terms of like the interviewers or in voters' minds, I mean, I think he has to prove himself maybe on a certain level, just like any candidate who doesn't have a lot of foreign policy experience coming in, whether that be a senator who's maybe never served on a foreign policy committee. But I don't think that these are unfair questions. I mean, the entirety of that interview was not played, but in the very beginning, he was asked, who is the leader of Iran's Supreme Revolutionary Forces? I mean, this is someone that if you are running for president, this is not a name that should be unfamiliar to you. So in that regard, no, it's not fair. And you should want to know if someone who doesn't have foreign policy experience can grasp these things and has been paying attention.
Yeah, and Heidi, there's a new poll out, and it says that Republican voters want a Washington outsider. So might he be able to parlay this into saying, look, this is who I am, this is what the voters are saying that they want right now? Somebody who's not an insider, who doesn't know all of these names. I'm going to find great people. I'm going to find great generals like Douglas MacArthur, and they're going to do all the heavy lifting.
That is the reason why he's in the position that he's in. And that is the reason why it's no mistake that you've seen all of the candidates, Trump's at the top, but all of the candidates who are surging right now, like Ben Carson, Carly Fiorina's gotten a boomlet. These are all candidates who, guess what? They're not politicians. And so that is very clearly what the American people are saying is we're so sick of Washington. We want someone who's completely has nothing to do with Washington. And I think that separately, the appeal that Trump has actually is his money, because there's a pervasive feeling among the American people that somehow our politicians are bought and paid for by lobbyists, and it's kind of all this incestuous circle of elites in Washington, and that Donald Trump has made clear he's not someone who can be bought. He mocks the Club for Growth, the group that a lot of Republicans, come out to with their hats in their hands. And so I think that that is also part of it that is really specific to Trump as well.
Heidi, I want to turn to Hillary Clinton because you have been following her campaign, and you learned that she is launching a new initiative to attract female voters. Tell us about that.
Yes, well, she is going to be coming out this weekend with a new initiative called Women for Hillary. It's, a lot of campaigns have women's initiatives, but what is different about her approach, the campaign tells me, is that she's not going to just have women's issues kind of in their own silo, where in the past, a lot of presidential campaigns have talked about women's issues on a particular day or in a particular context. Her plan is to kind of weave them throughout every single part of her policy platform. For example, making paid leave an economic issue for families. And so she's really coming at it from the different approach in that sense, but she's also doing something different in terms of marketing. I don't know if you're familiar, Elaine, with the Birchbox. This annual...
I was, and so she's going to do this with makeup? I don't get it. Explain.
Well, I don't know if it'll be makeup, but it will be definitely branded merchandise. Some of Hillary's favorite household items. I couldn't get any real specifics on what those will be, but if you sign up, you will get a regular delivery.
A pink pantsuit emoji, is that right?
That's right.
Well, so it's interesting. I mean, a lot of critics will say this is perhaps something to distract voters from the email controversy, but you're probably finding out that this was something she planned on doing all along.
Well, she's made clear even in her last run that women's issues are central to her campaign. I think the challenge that she faces when you look at the polls is kind of something that's surprising if you don't look at the poll history a lot, but that is that white women voters are actually not flocking behind her. Now, typically in the last election, white women voters also trended towards Romney, but you'd think, given the historic nature of her campaign, just like African-American voters ultimately came to support Barack Obama, that white women voters might also see her as their peer and support her more. But right now, no. And I reached out to an expert on women in politics to kind of explain this to me, and she had a couple of explanations. One is obvious. It's the email controversy is having its effect. But the second is interesting in that she said there's actually proof from the 2008 post-mortem analyses that a lot of white women, hold women candidates to higher standards than they do men candidates. It's also part of, the feeling that this is our first opportunity to have a woman in the White House. We want to make sure she's someone who's not going to be seen as a failure, just like African Americans held Obama to that similar standard and did not initially support him. If you'll remember, Hillary Clinton had a higher level of African American support initially in the 2008 primary.
All right. Interesting discussion. Heidi Przybyla, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tune in to Face the Nation this Sunday for more on the race for 2016. John Dickerson will be speaking with Republican candidate Carly Fiorina, and former Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich will also be on hand. That's Sunday morning on CBS.